When I think about this brother right here, so many things come to mind. Mainly that he was a hero, and he portrayed heroes, realistic ones and figurative ones. Heroes that graduated from HBCUs were innovators and changed the way that we see life and even ourselves. And I also think about how in some small way he represents all of black people and black men in particular. How so many black men struggle and live through things that other people don't know and they don't let other people into just so they can entertain us or play the role of a hero. And although his death is seemingly untimely and heavy, and many people struggle on how to tell their children that their favorite hero has died, I just want to encourage everyone, especially parents, to let their children know that this man who played this hero, who played many heroes, didn't die. He transitioned to be with the Heavenly Father, and he passed the mantle to us. It's kind of crazy. It's almost like in many ways God is either dealing with or calling home many of the people that we look up to so that we can now become the heroes that we look up to and know that God alone is our King. So yes, this brother played great characters and even more personified a great person of character. Now it's time for us to stand up and to be great people of character as well. We are the next policymakers, trendsetters, and record breakers. We are the next heroes. May we live lives in such ways that legends and fables and stories will be told about us. May we do exploits for the good of all and for God's glory. I am grateful to know that this man has portrayed great men, but even more that he knew the great king and is now resting with him. And in the words of the Dora Milaje, Bambele.
Welcome to Honestly Speaking, a safe place to be unsafe. Life commentary and dialogue from a biblical, logical, cultural, and comical perspective.
So I'm out here walking with the crew, socially distanced, exercising with the mask. And I figured I'd do the intro to the vlog a little bit different because I've really been thinking about what it means to be a good neighbor. And it just so happens that Belief in Fatherhood has this whole campaign on black love. He's just talking about a number of issues, but one of the issues that he's talking about is love thy neighbor. And that's something that I've been really thinking about recently. So when I heard the song, I was like, that's great. That's what we need to be doing. And love includes a lot of things. It includes correction. It includes self-care. It includes checking on people and having a community. It includes a number of things. So check this video out and then we're going to come back, right? So in this crazy time, there's so much going on. You have people arguing over so many things. But I just really wanted to talk about what it means to be a good neighbor and why that's important. So the Bible says that we're to love God and to love thy neighbor. What I do want to talk about are practical ways to love your neighbor. Number one is pray. Pray, pray, pray. Pray. Ask God for divine intervention, for him to show you who to help, how to help, especially during this time when you have individuals who aren't going to school, you have young people running around with so much extra energy and you may not know how to interact with them. Pray for them. And don't just say those general prayers that's like low-key gossip. God, please help her and all her kids. God, please don't allow him to look like a creep. God, please stop that newsy lady from looking through the window and help her to get a life. What? Those aren't real prayers. You just like low-key gossiping. But praying for people will soften your heart towards them. In this day and age, we definitely need our hearts softened. When it comes to praying, you could do something as simple as share a link to your neighbors that says, from this time to this time, every week, I will be praying for you. Please let me know how I could be praying for you. Either way, God bless you. Something that simple is really that deep to individuals. Trust me, I've tried it and it works. When sincere, it helps to remind us of God's promises. How about number two? Get to know your neighbor. When you get to know your neighbor, you're not that critical of them in a negative way, and you actually allow yourself to see what you have in common with them. I mean, for one, they're your neighbor. Get to know them. And in this pandemic, it can be difficult. A few ways you can do that is by slipping a card underneath the door to let them know, hey, I'm your neighbor. If you ever needed anything, if you don't feel safe with that, no worries, no biggie, don't do it. When I say get to know your neighbors, I really mean talk to people, especially young people. Getting to know a young person could not only help you be a good neighbor, but practically speaking, it could save your life. You never know who young people may know and could actually influence on a dangerous situation in your neighborhood. Plus, it allows young people to see that older individuals aren't unreachable or stuck up. But if you are stuck up, you may need to humble yourself. And even more, most people don't know this, but the number one protective factor for a young person against developing a mental health issue is having a close relationship with an adult. That's it. It does it more than sports. It does it more than religious activities. For a young person to feel like they can talk to someone is the most essential protective factor against mental health issues. That's deep when you think about it. Another thing we can do is get involved in local politics. I'm not saying run for office. I mean, if you feel led to run for office, run for office. I'm saying ask yourself, where are the needs in your community and what particular political office controls those needs? And then call those particular offices and see how you can be a part of practical solutions. That way, you might even be a resource to people who don't know where to go. You may not necessarily have to be the person to solve the situation, but you could be someone that helps them get to the person to solve the situation. That's also being a good neighbor. Later, with all the criticism or promotion of your particular tactics, if it does not impact policy that's going to benefit our current and the next generation morally and physically, I'm not trying to hear it. Sorry. The fourth thing you could do to love your neighbor is actually correcting your neighbor. Now, whoa. I'm not talking about pushing your preference onto them. I'm saying correction is actually a part of love. You know what I mean. I don't know when or where it became cool to just accept all of the things that we collectively know are wrong and just toss them away and then still claim to have some type of morality. I mean, we could actually talk about where morality comes from, but I will save that for another vlog. For real, I'm serious. As a person born and raised in the inner city, there was just certain things you just knew were wrong. And nowadays, we are actually celebrating the things that we all knew were wrong. Sidebar and another rant. Please don't allow the immorality of what we all know and see in our community to be a distraction for the immorality and lawlessness that we see being perpetrated against us in our community. Two things can be true. I keep saying it. We're going to point out the lawlessness of the people that's supposed to represent the law, and we're going to point out the lawlessness in our own community too. Come on, now back to correction. If I correct you, it's because I love you. Now, in order to do this though, you have to be humble. That's the first thing you have to do. Don't come in beating your chest, yeah, young bull, yeah, young blood, yeah. No, none of that. Correction is when you lovingly call someone higher to a standard that you know that they know, and it requires that we're prayerful and tactful. When you correct a young person, you're actually teaching them to respect the Imago Dei in themselves and others. So all my armchair quarterbacks, my reform gangsters, my former hustlers, get in the game. Talk to young people, which requires bravery and again, humility. A part of humility is admitting where we need to change. What is the example that you need to set? A lot of young people do not listen because of the hypocrisy. Don't have your private life be different from your public life. Trust me, I've done it before. It doesn't work. What it does is something supernatural. It takes away the power of our influence while still amplifying our areas of responsibility. That's deep. I mean, we see this in the Bible. Remember, David was tripping. David's position did not change, yet his power to influence and to be respected, it did. So the father's sins didn't necessarily fall on the son, but what it did was it caused the son to not respect the father. So fathers, mothers, be respectable and know it is still the youth's responsibility to respect you whether you're respectable or not. Respect is something that is given. It's not earned, it is given. If young people or your neighbors or elderly individuals do not see you respecting yourself or others, it will impact your ability to be taken seriously. People will fear you, but they won't respect you. And that's a big difference. We don't want fear, we want respect. I don't just want you to obey, I want you to understand and choose life and not death. Fear can only take us but so far. Love has to take us further. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. And yes, I put self last. Why? Because we living in a day and age where everybody wants to put themselves first. MySpace, Facebook. I know I'm old, shut up. MySpace, Facebook. And so all these things have to, iPhones, it all has to do with us. And part of being a good neighbor is being humble. And remember, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So being a good neighbor means being uncomfortable and considering others just like you consider those in your family. So there you have it. Things you can do to love your neighbor. And it's also what'll help you feel loved on if your neighbor were to do these things for you. Pray for divine opportunity, for practical ways of how to help and to combat a lot of dark things that go on in people's lives. Hopefully God will give you some insight on how to help people. You can actually get to know your neighbor. That always helps. You can look for practical ways to serve through politics or get in contact with the people who are in control of local politics to see how you can serve practically as either a resource or as an individual that's connected to resources. The fourth thing you could do to love your neighbor is actually correcting your neighbor. And lastly, you could work on yourself. And remember, when I say work on yourself, I mean being humble, acknowledging where you need help, getting the help you need. And that also includes acknowledging your limits. Sometimes we can't help people. We're so busy surviving, we don't know how to thrive. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And if you feel like it's too much, seek professional help. That's also how you become a better neighbor, by making sure that you're well enough to be a neighbor. Prayerfully, all is well with you all, and see you soon as I get some boots to the ground for this current day and time. So yeah, another way to love your neighbor is to wear a mask. You see me out here, got my ability to put my mask on even though I'm working out. And shout out to all the people who don't care if they're being talked about for wearing a mask. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the pastors who recognize that they will not preach in a congregation if they're not even feeling well and it has nothing to do with COVID. You just want to keep people encouraged. You know what I mean? So I'm going to continue in this love thy neighbor thing. And yeah, remember, love God, love your neighbor. Definitely take care of yourself. Peace. Wait. Don't forget, hit like, share, and subscribe. Hit like, subscribe, and share. And yeah, that's it. I got to go. I'm tired.